So good morning. Um, Good morning. Slightly nervous about this ramble. You must understand because I don't have any great ideas to talk about or witticisms of the past to go through. I'm a big fan of the great witticisms of the past. I'm not going to go through any of them today because why? Because I'm anxious. I'm a little bit anxious. I'm a little bit apprehensive. I lie. Sometimes you accidentally lie because I do have a witticism. I do have something from Elon Musk that's just come to mind, which is a great saying. Fear is a vector, anxiety is a scalar. Okay, can we unpack that? Can we unpack that? Um, those of you who know physics or will know a vector. Vector is a directional quantity. Um, for example, velocity going in this direction is a vector. Scalar is something which has a magnitude but has no vector. So speed as opposed to velocity. Speed is how fast you're going, velocity is how fast you're going in what direction. Mass also being just a scalar. It's just a magnitude. How massive is your bunda? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. How massive is your vehicle? So why do I say that? So anxiety. So I'm feeling a little bit anxious, and so it's not sort of fear. If it was fear, it would be directed at this particular thing. Anxious, it's kind of like directed at sort of 10 different things, and so it's just a general level of anxiety that we're dealing with. Now here comes the lie number two, because I do have to turn to a certain Jordan Peterson, a man who says controversial things, but what you can't deny is that he's a great explainer of ideas. He's a great explainer of ideas, and though his worldview may be faulty, he has a very cohesive worldview. And so you can look at his worldview, and one of the elements of his worldview is he talks about anxiety. He has this great book, Maps of Meaning. Once again, we come back to, am I going to look for the book on my shelf and fail to find it? It is somewhere here. Anyway, Maps of Meaning. He talks about anxiety being, um, very basic categorization of anxiety as that the negative can you notice something negative and think, oh no, this is going to drag me into hell, or that's the language that he'll kind of reach for, the religious language of hell. But you notice something negative, a threat. Anxiety is your threat sensitivity system, biologically speaking. So you notice something negative that's going to drag you into hell, and anxiety can also be provoked, though, and I think was helpfully pointed out by him, and I'm sure this is not a unique idea to him. It can also be poked out by something good that could send you to heaven, but you're like, oh fuck, can I pull off the goodness? Can I pull off that goodness? So you see the glimmering hope, and it gives you anxiety because you want it to be so good, and so you're on the cusp. Perhaps in you in your life, you're on the cusp of something of not greatness, but something goodness. You're on the cusp of goodness, and you just want it to go so well, but you're not sure if you can. What's the word? Pull it off. So you find me in an extremely freezing bedroom. Why is this room so cold? Who knows? Am I going to ramble on that? Yes, very quickly. We should really be grateful every time our room is cold because it's a miracle that the room's ever warm. You know, we should be the natural state of mankind is cold, miserable, arguing with everyone, and trying to pull out a single turnip from the ground once a year. That's your natural state of mankind. One turnip a year, miserable, cold, fighting with wild beasts. So the fact that we can sit in a room and it's ever approximating room temperature. Now, that's room temperature as a notion begs the question of what is the room temperature, but we'll leave that there. That you can ever sit and it's ever sort of 20 degrees centigrade, you should be gratefully thankful. So every time the room's cold, give thanks to the Lord. So, however, the room is very cold. Um, Hence why I'm in my trusty green hoodie. So, why did I say that? I'm sitting in this room cold, and I'm going back to university tomorrow. So that means I have to pack today. So that's fine. Packing's not a problem. But when you are packing, that requires an organization of one's psyche. Um, I've noticed this over the last couple of years as I get older. Every time I have to pack for something, like why is packing so? Why do you always put packing off? I always end up doing it, either 24 hours or 1 hour before I have to depart for the mode of transport that we're taking. Um, so why is that? Well, packing, you have to organize your bloody psyche. You have to like figure out what are the things that I need for my life. Okay, well that's a pretty straightforward question if you know what your life is. If you don't know what your life is, like I don't, then that means you have to figure it out against the clock. Now, there are certain things like clothes, books, you know, things that you're going to need to take regardless. And so, so part of the packing stage is to just lay those things out. Okay, we need them. What else do we need? But there is that question, what else do we need, that comes at the end of it. End of any packing procedure is that what else do we need? And then you have to look deep within yourself, and maybe this is just me, maybe some people just don't have this struggle, but for me it's like it really is a sort of inward searching of like, fuck, what am I trying to achieve with my life, and what do I need? And normally the one I'm trying to achieve with my life is a very relaxed question. It's a sort of, it's a this, it's a that, but then suddenly you're packing, you're like, we're against the clock here, we might forget something, and then our life's going to be more difficult, and then anyway, so all the problematic elements of your life become concretized, and you start to panic about them. So I am so greatly wanting my relationship with Ella to turn out to be fantastic, and I think it will. I think it will. Um, I'm just very um, I'm just worried about it. I'm just anxious. Um, because we're going to be in different cities again, and I never want to give her the impression that I don't care about her. I know that accidentally I've given that impression before, when really it's been like the 100 degrees opposite. But it's still not okay for the impression. The impression is what counts in a relationship. So even if I'm there thinking about her all the time and desperately wanting the best for her, it doesn't matter. If she's getting a different impression, then I'm doing something wrong. So yeah, I don't want to go too personal into her to her, because that's not my prerogative to ramble about her. But as far as I can tell, she's in a great place in life. It doesn't mean things are easy. I will. It is public knowledge. She did win Employee of the Year out of a big. So she's just doing great. But it doesn't mean that it's not stressful. And And so I just want to be there for her all these miles away. So the question is, how can we do that? We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, I hope. And so, and then things within my family relationships, my mother, with my mother, father, mum, dad, and brother have been great, but complicated over Christmas. Um, it was our first Christmas without Jonna, and and there was just a lot of general mournfulness that hung over the occasion. But I was also madly trying to figure out my life with regards to university, and so what that led to is a lot of me defending myself argumentatively. Now, that is perhaps the story of my life, and particularly this Christmas holidays, I've realised that I could actually do with less of that. I've spent so much of my life, I've expended so much relationship energy, not really romantic relationship, but friendship energy, to defending myself argumentatively. Just kind of like it has turned out to be the case in my life. I have needed to behave in ways that are not normal ways for humans. Apparently, other humans don't behave in the same ways, and so I have needed to behave. I have needed, with a capital N, to behave in these ways. Now, once again, we could undercut that idea a little bit, and perhaps there were occasions where I behaved in those ways, and it was perhaps not necessary for me. But there are certain times when I needed to behave in ways that people didn't find okay, and and instinctively I was always there to say, you guys are wrong. I need to behave in these ways, and I'm not saying you guys have to behave in similar ways. But we're talking about the searching. We're talking about the adventure. We're talking about, I need to go. I don't need to do the physics right now. I need to go on this thing. I need to find out this thing that Socrates said. Well, it's not all about Socrates, right? It's about, I need to go and do these things, and then what happens is, if I'm like that for an extended amount of time, then I have to defend myself. Eventually, there comes a conversation, normally with mum. She sits me down and she says, "You're going mad again. You're going mad again." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going mad again." There were times when I was going mad, but those times are quite a long way behind us now. And so when someone questions your sanity, it's a very unsettling. It's a very, very, very annoying thing to do. Anyway, I'm not trying to blame anyone, because that's not the purpose of this. But what it is once someone questions your sanity, then anytime they raise any small issues, you feel like, it's this panic. It's like, okay, right, we're on the defensive. We're on the defensive. We're going defensive mode. And long after they're bored of the conversation, you're in the kitchen and they come down to make a cup of tea, and you're trying to explain your worldview. Look, I need to do this. There's that sort of element to it. And then the next person, and the next person, and then these people are all trying to get on with their lives, make a cup of coffee. Poor old Ella's probably got caught up in this. She's trying to have just see me for an evening, and I'm there trying to go, no, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this, and they're like, shut up. And fair enough. So if we could have less of the defensive argumentativeness in my life, I think that would be great. So I think we'll leave it there. I think I've reached a point of realization. So see if we can carry this out over the next 24 hours, and perhaps we'll come back with another ramble. What are we on? This is Ramble 12. We'll come up with an unlucky ramble. Ramble 13, unlucky number. Ramble 13 incoming. As for now, we'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you didn't, perhaps the next one will be more to your liking. Thank you very much.